right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to, what is it, episode 5 of the Kids From It podcast? Look at this, lucky number 5. I don't know if that's a lucky number for anybody or not, but for us it is right now. How are you doing this evening, Kayla?
I'm so proud of us, and I'm really good. I'm really excited.
I am too. So with this podcast, I feel bad because I do two other podcasts and the social media stuff that I do. And so I haven't had as much time to edit small clips of this podcast, yes, which I really want to. And so I still have the large ones, but the small ones are a little trickier. But I will start doing more than that. But we're going to be covering a lot more stuff and have a lot more opportunities. Carla and Kai are on the road right now, so it's just Kayla and myself. But I think we can shoulder the burden. What do you think?
Yeah, I am so excited. Sometimes it's, I'm always interrupting everybody because I'm delayed too. So when there's a lot of us, I'm the worst. And now it's just me here. So hopefully I won't be interrupting you every time.
I hadn't noticed that. I didn't notice that at all.
Whenever I go back and listen to the podcast, I'm being pretty hard on myself. But I'm pumped for this. I do miss them, but I think that this is gonna be cool. Let's do it. Yeah,
that's probably the case. You're always your own biggest critic. So, man, I think our first episode of this show, we were talking about Bob Jones University. Maybe it was the second episode, and I ran across this video that I showed to Kayla and Kai, and it was about it featured a man that we're going to be talking about with this episode. His name is Joel Webbon. And he is the pastor of, what is it called? Covenant Bible Church somewhere in Possum Grape, Texas or whatever. I don't know. But it's he has some strange opinions. And the video that I showed them, I'm going to pull up for everyone right now. And this is, Kayla, this video is going to be the women voting video. It's been a while since I pulled this bad boy out. But let's get this on the road here. He's at some sort of conference, some sort of Christian men's conference or something like that. And the interviewer asks him, in his ideal state of a Christian nationalist nation, would women get the right to vote? And here is his response.
You can wave your Christian nationalist wand. We wake up tomorrow in a Christian nation, a Christian nationalist nation as you're describing. All right? There's a lot of fears that people have. Here's one of them. Will women have the right to vote tomorrow if you wave that magic Christian wand?
No.
Okay, why not? I want to get into why not. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Because if we had a Christian nation tomorrow and women did have the right to vote, we would not have a Christian nation within 50 years.
I want to pause right there. It's like, well, sign me up then. That sounds like a good reason if you ask me. I don't threaten me with a good time. I mean,
I'm waiting for you to get to the catch, Joel. Come on.
Okay, elaborate a little bit on that.
Because the husband has been appointed by God as the head of his home. And no fault divorce.
By the way, Kayla, if you want to say something, just start and I'll pause the video if you want to have something to say. I heard you say the
Yeah, I'll just stick to mocking them under my breath. Go on.
And women's suffrage, more than anything else, ultimately split the household. So we're not talking about women not having a say in society. We're talking about representative government.
That's right.
Right now, there are people in Williamson County, Texas, where I'm a resident, who represent me. No one gets to represent themselves in every single scenario.
That's right.
We are all represented by somebody else, whether we like it or not. So why not have women and children represented by a man who loves them and is willing to die for them?
I want to pause that right there. One thing he said when we started off was, I'm not saying women don't get to have a say in society. and then proceeds to explain exactly why he doesn't think women should get to have a say in society, at least not in in the political manner. And because they'll be represented by their husband or probably their dad before they're married, because can't let women just participate in government. That's nonsense. And then he mentions that we live in a representative democracy, and that's true. And he says, so why not allow women and children to be represented by a man who loves them? And very weird that he lumps women and children together in that context. Like why? Why would you possibly see them on the same playing field when it came to participating in how your state or your county functions? That, oh yeah, we have a grown woman here. I don't see her any different than a 9-year-old.
Yeah. I can't help but just stop at his logic, even before I get to that, which I will, and I cannot agree with you more. Okay, I'm willing to bet Jolie here is a Republican, and
we'll get there. We'll get there.
Invested, yeah, in the electoral process, and is it working well? Having people vote for you, buddy? Like, are you happy? Is just what I want to ask him, because if you follow that chain analysis and follow your logic down, he's got a podcast, he's got, he speaks at all these conferences, like he's alleging the need for some kind of change. So clearly he's not happy with the setup right now, but you're saying, like, let's apply this logic to everyone, to women and children, and like let someone else vote for you. It doesn't even it just doesn't follow for me, first of all. Okay. So then fuck it. But also, then we get to the whole women and children thing, and I mean, again, it's just it's hard for me to try to put into words like the remarks or the feelings that I have towards it, because I don't even want to give anything back to it. It's not even so degrading. We're not. We need someone to represent us, because, like, I mean, yeah. I'll let you continue with what you were saying, but
I agree 100% what you're saying there. And I mean, I don't know how you called it that this guy is a right winger. I just thought it's that was a hell of a shot in the dark on that one. But we will get to that. But it is a good point you brought up, that this is something I bring out when I talk to conservatives and how they want to structure the country, because I'm sure we've all heard the expression that the states are laboratories of democracy, that, we have 50 different states and they all have a different, their own state governments. And so you can see on the spectrum that, California is a much different state than Texas. And so you can just see how their different rules play out based on the different philosophies. And whenever I talk to conservatives, and I talk to them a lot about this, I bring up how the states with the highest murder rates, the states with the worst educations, the states with the highest poverty rates, the states with the highest drug overdoses, the states with the highest rates of child abuse, the states with the highest teen fucking pregnancies, like literally everything that you could say, like, this is a bad state of society. Red states cross the board. Like, they always populate the top, 7 or 8 out of 10 in the United States. And you point this out. And they also, by the way, are the most religious states. Direct overlap. These are directly overlapping magisteria. And you bring us, okay, if you want this Christian nationalist society, Alabama is about as close as you can get in Mississippi to a Christian nationalist state possible. And if that's the case, like if having the rule of a conservative right-wing interpretation of the Bible makes the country good, why does Alabama suck so bad? Like, why did Mississippi suck so bad? No, really.
Why does Alabama suck so bad?
It does. It's, I knew a guy from Alabama in my unit in Fort Bragg, and he would say a statement that they say in Alabama all the time is, "Thank God for Mississippi," because Alabama is 49th and everything. Mississippi is 50th and something. And I looked up, they do say it. It's pretty funny. But no, it's a genuine statement. And I've had this conversation so many times that I already know how it's going to go. Whenever I talk about how Alabama, Mississippi, places like that are super low educated, high murder rates, high obesity rates, literally everything that's a negative marker, it always comes back to the same thing. And I was like, well, you're skewing it because like there's a very high black population there. And they always go there every single time. And I was like, well, shouldn't God be helping the black people too? Like, why does that matter?
Right?
Like, how does that possibly? That seems like the Christianity isn't helping you no matter what color your skin is. But
verse. Where was the where?
Yeah, right. Yeah, this only works if you're not black.
Yeah. I have a little anecdote for Alabama. I just want to tell you this little, like, just terrible story. It might actually make everyone kind of sad. I was talking to someone yesterday about Alabama and how weird it is. And I lived in Alabama really, really briefly as a kid. And I just remember one experience in Alabama. I was really little and my family was military, but we lived off post, I think. And I had a dog. I had the only dog I ever had in childhood. Named Hunter. And we lived off post. Well, we had Hunter outside and these kids came and like messed with my dog. And my dog was scared of kids after that. And it was white kids. I just want to say that. They were older kids. And I just remember it being like, they were older than me. And they were just like walking by and saw Hunter in the backyard and just started, messing with my dog. And it was terrible. And that's the only thing I remember about Alabama because I was really little. That has really carried through in my adulthood about how I feel about Alabama. Like, I'm not over these kids.
I ain't forgotten, Alabama, what you did to poor Hunter. That's great. Right. That's that is kind of sad, but funny. I get back to old Joel here.
Yeah,
protects them and provides for them. I would love to be represented by just one person in civil government who has that level of commitment to me. Good. So it's not about, men get to vote and women don't. And no, it's about the household vote. The individual building block of society, according to the word of God, is not atomistic individuals. It is the molecule, not the atom, but the molecule of the family.
Yeah.
I love when people talk about the Bible as if it's, the divinely inspired, full, perfect word of God. And then start throwing a bunch of science terms around. It's like, fuck you. There's the Bible, like anyone writing the Bible had no clue what an atom was. They didn't know what a molecule was. I hate these. And now I know it's not necessary to point it out, but it does bug me, I gotta say.
And it also just makes me want to get out one of our Rebecca science books and be like, you want saying, sir? Go on.
Yeah.
I want show me one representative that cares that much for me. He just contradicted himself. Why are you saying that this is a molecule system that works and saying I wish I had one that cared about me as much as, the husband is supposed to care for the family and the wife. You sound so, sir. I don't like
That's a really good point. I didn't even catch that. That's a great point. It's well, I certainly can't trust my representatives to do right by me, but my wife can trust me to do right by her. That's a really good point. Yeah, that's true. Like he knows it's bullshit. Yeah. All right, let's see what he says here.
Atomistic individuals. It is the molecule, not the atom, but the molecule of the family.
Yeah.
The family unit should not be separated. What God has joined together, let no man put asunder. Now, I believe that women's suffrage was just one liberal attempt by people who hated Christ to sever the covenant bond between husband and wife. And that's what happened. We would not have one Democrat president. This is a statistic fact. We would not have one Democrat president in the last 50 years if women couldn't vote.
So I want to pause it right there. So first off, you called it, Kayla. This guy's not. Say what?
I said that's my favorite part. Please pause it. Let's talk about that one.
No, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, just to say something so bold like that, we wouldn't have one Democratic president if women couldn't vote. His following is what gets me. The fact that he does have so many people that hear this stuff and they're like, that adds up. That adds up. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I want to talk about what he said right there too about how we wouldn't have a single Democratic president in the last 50 years if women didn't vote. He's right. He's right. He's 100% correct. It's now if you the Republican and Democratic Party really came into their own who they were after the Civil Rights Movement and after the after women's liberation and Roe v. Wade. So by 1970 or so, the political lines that we're aware of, they were cemented in place based on people who said, hey, this progress stuff is really good, and people who said this progress stuff is bad. We need to revert things back to the way they were in the 1950s. So if you look at voting trends, really since 1970, the Republican Party is between 85 and 95% white historically, and today it's close to the 85 side, like wildly overrepresented by white people, and it's also majority men too, and so if like white women still vote majority Republican, but it's like at 53% or something. White men vote Republican like in the mid 60s or something like that. So, but all women together in collective vote for Democrats. They have polls where you can break down by this. It's like if women didn't vote, who would be president? It's Republicans all across the board. If minorities didn't vote, it'd be Republicans all across the board. But it's kind of a giveaway. And I'm glad to see the facade shifting on this because for a long time, folks, for those of you who don't, Kayla and I grew up around these folks all the time. People just like Joe Webbon, there's like the familiarity is palpable, but they would always find creative ways to kind of signal that, the civil rights era was really good, but people kind of took things too far. But now that it's coming right out and saying it, 50 years ago, that's when things started falling apart, and we need to go back the way things were before that. And I think they just got tired of hiding it. There's like, I'm not going to stop lying about this and just say, yeah, we liked when women shut the fuck up and didn't say anything. That's what I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree.
Okay, let's continue on here.
So I don't want women to vote because I want strong marriages. I want cohesive households. I want representative government all the way down to the family. And I also want babies not murdered.
Yeah.
I don't want drag queen story hour. I don't want rainbow jihad. And none of that could happen if women couldn't vote.
Let's say
very clear, concise, erudite statements by old Jay Webb there. I will say one thing I agree with him on. I, too, don't want to see babies murdered. Like, murdered babies is not high on my list of things that I enjoy. So, although we know he's talking about abortion, so who are we kidding? But, and I do have to add that Rainbow Jihad would be a great name for a band.
That one really stuck out to me, too. I was just like... That was the first. I was like, what?
Yeah, that'd be a great.
Definitely animated with his verbiage, and I've listened to some of his, other content. I can see how it's captivating, but
really,
I mean, I can see how if. I think that there was a certain point in my adult life where I was just like, I'm just going to go a hard other direction. I'm not buying this, and I'm going to go in a hard other direction and just see what's over there. But prior to that, before like making that cut and dry decision that I was like gonna, just at least see what else like made sense to me or explored other theologies and political parties, whatever however this translated or translates, it's easy to get excited about stuff that aligns with the things that maybe your family instilled in you, or that your brain is just decided is truth, or decided makes sense, or decided feels comfy, and and it just takes a person, kind of like that, that's really animated, and it has like I said, an interesting way of portraying things and breaking it down. I can see somebody that's like, looking for something to latch onto, being like, okay, I like this guy.
Yeah.
That's
so with so with Joel Webbon, to me, when I hear this guy talk, well, first, all right, we'll notice this. God, I should have pointed out when I had this video up here, but I want to draw your attention to something about Joel Webbon that immediately repulsed me from him, and before he even said a word.
I do want to clarify that I am horrified by him, but I'm just saying, I can see how he gets people hyped. That's a direction that they're wanting to go. Like, they're wanting to believe that, or wanting that narrative,
Well, before he talked, like, it's just something that I've noticed over time is dudes with that kind of facial hair. Like, did you notice the facial hair on his buddy? The guy doing the interview? Let me see. I'll pull it up here. All right.
No.
Look at that guy's fucking mustache.
His mustache. I know. I did notice a mustache, but
and then Joel's got like, the beard actually isn't weird, but it's weird based on his job. It's hard to explain. Like, these guys that are these proto-Orthodox style Christians, whatever, they all have like this elaborate facial hair, like they're in Gangs of New York or something, and they got like, Pringles man mustaches and shit. And it's like, it immediately repulses me before they say a goddamn word. But with Joel, though, I can kind of see what you're saying. I mean, obviously what he's doing is working for him. He's got a platform and everything, but I am this is going to sound very funny coming from me, but I am kind of repulsed by sophistry. I really don't like it when people put a lot of work into trying to sound smart. I don't like it at all. And it's and I can catch it. And it's like, and it's not that he's dumb. I'm not saying he's stupid, but when you sprinkle in too many multisyllabic words, you just start saying stuff that sound really intelligent. I don't know. I find it suspect.
It doesn't make sense sometimes. Like, he doesn't always know what he's saying, but I think that he's, trying to, you're right, like, sound like he's a certain,
yes,
like that at minimum. And there's people that, they don't know what half the shit he's talking about means. So it's just like, okay, yeah. So,
it's just, yeah.
Down for later.
It's, I can just see, because public speaking, I love it. I love public speaking. Ever since I was a kid, I've always enjoyed. Yeah, I've always enjoyed it. And it's one thing that I always try to do is to make myself, in my public presentations, make it seem as conversational as possible. I don't like, although it is a performance, I do recognize that. It's why I don't like preacher speak. I don't like the way preachers talk. It turns me off. And it's just like, like, you don't talk to your family like that. You don't talk to your buddies hanging out. And this guy, trying to put on, like, he's the most pretentious college professor you've ever met, and also a fascist. It's like a bad mix, but I'm seeing a lot more of it today. Did you ever remember kids who were like big right wingers? like right-wing kids freak me out. Like, if you're 17 and you're a hardcore Republican, it's super weird. Like this,
it makes me so sad, because just like, it makes me sad. Freaks me.
It is like, you're a 10th grader. Why are you so fascinated with the 1930s? What's wrong with you? And, but they'll do this thing where they will try to appear older. So you're a 16-year-old boy, and you start carrying a briefcase to school or something. You wear ties and stuff all the time. And he's doing the grown man version of that. He's trying to make himself seem like a more sophisticated person. And even his cadence is a bit like that. No one talks like that. Nobody talks like that unless you're trying to put on a show. And what a shitty show to put on as well. Like I don't understand it. And something I wanted to bring up to you was yeah. So the other day you brought up
awkward too. I couldn't tell the first time I watched it if Mustache was like with the shits or not. And then, but you know, the second time around I was good. Like, yeah, you definitely are. But it was just so. They're even weird with each other, you know. And I get it. Like sometimes we have weird moments, like you know, and we've known each other for whatever. But it was yeah, I'm more than that. They're just weird.
They're weird. Wait, when we're weird, we're having fun. I don't like. There's nothing fun about these guys. Like, there's no fun going on there. No,
this is a good time.
So he's the. All right, I'll share this with everyone here. So this is the website to Joel's church. It is a Covenant Bible, and somewhere in Texas.
Much on this website. I cannot stress going and just checking it out if you have a few minutes, because I was amazed at just how much stuff they had on there.
Because I didn't go through too much of it. This is actually the only page I went to on the website, and I wanted to show this page because it really jumped out at me. So this is Joel and his assistant pastor Connor, who also has the facial hair thing. They love that. I guess it's a manly statement, you know, like, oh, look at this. I'm a man. I can grow a beard.
I'm going to look for facial hair in all of these.
So listen, it is a specific type of Christian too. So like our type, growing up, the facial hair wasn't a big thing, but the modern version of these guys, they're even more, you know, like fascinated with the Knights Templar.
Were you guys allowed to even have facial hair growing up? I remember.
No.
Yeah, if you showed up with anything in high school, you were sent home. Right. And
that's because they were still like, this thing just shifts with culture. They pretend that all this stuff dates back to, you know, the writings of Christ, but they all had beards. So why couldn't we? And it was because they wanted to separate the culture from like the 90s and the 2000s from the hippies, which were the big enemies when they were growing up. And the hippies had facial hair and long hair. And so the facial hair kind of, but now it's come back and they all have these like super elaborate, weird ass, snidely whiplash facial hair they got going on. But I just wanted to point this out. This is a small thing, but this is their general statements of faith. So they talk about the scriptures. They got one paragraph on the scriptures, the Trinity, one paragraph, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. They all get a paragraph. Makes sense. Then they have regeneration, very important. Salvation, one paragraph. The church, one paragraph. The end times, one paragraph. Biblical authority, one paragraph. Marriage and sex, four paragraphs.
Huge. That's the first thing I noticed too. Yeah.
And you had made a comment on one of our earlier shows about how youth pastors are just so fucking obsessed with sex and how just like exuberantly horny they are. Yeah, and it's not just youth pastors too. It's all of these folks. Like they cannot stop thinking about sex. They cannot stop talking about fucking children's genitals, and it's so weird that they allow this. But I was just scrolling through here. I was like, oh, I bet the marriage and sex one is a real, 4 times longer than all the other ones. Like, you're telling me marriage and sexuality is 4 times more important than regeneration, than like salvation, like the stuff that actually gets you to heaven? It's just as long as the Trinity.
For a second, and let's talk about sex, baby. Like you are, like you're right. They're obsessed. It's crazy. They put a whole lot of content in there. But we went through those and I noticed the same thing. And there's another section too. Keep scrolling down. I want to see. There was. I'll have to go back and I'll have you the link ready for the next episode. But they have more stuff. I mean, there's more about.
Oh, there's some more here.
I was gonna say there it is.
The scriptures, the Trinity, creation, divine providence, God's. I didn't read these. Perseverance of the saints. Oh, once saved, always saved. That's good. Law of God, Christian liberty. The civil magistrate, that's a weird one to put in here. God, the Lord and King of all the world, hath ordained civil magistrates to be under him over the people for his own glory and the public good, and to the end hath armed them with the power of the sword for defiance and encouragement of them that do good, and for the punishment of evildoers. Sounds like he wants big government. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
It's got a big government tax and spend liberal over here. Marriage, the church, communion, very important. Baptism too. Lord's what isn't communion and Lord's Supper the same thing? I'm pretty sure that's exact, or maybe it's I don't know. He's like I talk about light communion. State of man after death and the resurrection of the dead and the last judgment. Did any of those ring a bell? Or
I mean. Last Judgment. I think I read that one. I wanted to see if it was like.
Let's see.
We are, and I think it was. Yeah.
Yep. Appointed a day wherein he will judge the world in righteousness by Jesus Christ, to whom all power and judgment is given of the Father. Shake off.
Yeah. I think I thought it was on brand with us, but yeah, I looked through all that stuff, and that's where I found the podcast too.
Okay, all right, yeah. So did you watch that episode you sent me? I didn't get to watch the whole thing. In fact,
I tried. I couldn't. I could not listen to all of it. And not for even like lack of like things to be flabbergasted by and to talk about on the podcast, but it just hurt my brain and my ears. You know, he's unpleasant. Yeah. He's just not.
Yeah. It's a slog.
So yeah, but yeah, well, but like we talked about kind of in when we touched base about it. The first thing that struck me when I went to YouTube and got into their stuff was just the volume of views and followers and stuff like that. Really just shook me. Because to me, like you said earlier, I listen to him and it's a little horrifying. Like it's a little shocking. I don't know if his followers, like, do you know a lot about the church and the following he has? Are people like with this guy? Or are they mocking him, or are they very committed? Obviously his church is committed, but as far as his internet following per se.
So yeah, I couldn't begin to talk about his church. I don't know anything about it. I imagine it's a lot like him. But as far as this population, it exists in higher numbers than I would have guessed, even as someone who was pretty tangentially related to this type of ministry. I thought it was kind of like we were always weird fringes, and then our fringe had fringes. But as society has gone on, because you remember like when we were growing up, they would always talk about how the world moves and the church just follows the world. So the church is where the world was 20 years ago. They've really taken this to heart with the more society progresses. And, things start chipping away little by little. Like, Bob Jones has to start admitting black people, and, gay marriage becomes the law of the land. And, trans people get to exist in society, and they start panicking and freaking out. Say what?
Yeah. I was just, trans people get to exist.
Really? I mean, it's not even exaggeration. Do you remember? I don't know if you saw this. It was a couple years ago, but the Dylan Mulvaney controversy with Bud Light. Have you remember that? Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, we're talking about Dylan Mulvaney is just a trans person. That's all she is. Like, she is just a trans person. She does like videos, like not even political ones. And Bud Light since she was an influencer on Instagram, I think they made a can with her face on it, and she was like, "Oh, thanks, Bud Light," and it burned. Like the country went insane. People were losing their minds, and Kid Rock like took out a rifle, shooting cans of Bud Light and everything because there was a trans person existed and was in an ad. That's it. It's not like I could see if she was like a political figure, like if she was always shitting on right wingers or just talking bad about religion. No, it's just that she was a trans person who existed and they saw her in an ad and they lost their mind. So yeah, like just trans people existing is enough to have them blow their stack. In more ways than one, probably. That's a lot of this comes from probably
Yeah.
little.
That's a good one.
Yeah, little deep-seated self-hatred or something going on.
I was thinking about that when we were talking about the facial hair thing too, and you were like, "Oh, I wonder why that is," and I was like, "I wonder why that was." You know, I don't know, but it goes back to like keeping everybody looking like childlike and submissive, and in my opinion.
Oh, see, I didn't think about that. Oh, that could be it too. That's a good one. I hadn't thought of that far. But yeah, so now that society has definitely moved and become more progressive than ever, they revert back even harder. The response is even bigger, which is why you see a lot of pushback from and you see grown adults like Harrison Butker. We talked about him last time, didn't we? I think we talked about him. He joined like I forget this sect of Catholicism he joined, but it's like a super far right-wing sect of Catholicism. As an adult, he wasn't raised this way. And whenever someone converts to like, Orthodox religion in their 30s, that's a weird person. Like that is a person who's never like lightly into religion. They go deep into this stuff and, come out saying stuff.
Oftentimes I think people that have been through like some serious tragedy or addiction or something like that, and they need, but yeah, that's a harsh change in the middle of your life. I get maybe middle of it. I don't know.
Well, yeah, and it's also one thing if you just like, oh, I started going to church. That's one thing, but diving that deep in is like, I'm gonna adopt 12th century theology, and that's what I'm gonna roll with. That's fucking weird. That's some strange shit.
The lifestyle is like, this is not like go to church and that's it kind of denominations. These are like, you will change your whole life for sure.
I agree, and I just thought of something. I want to pull up for the good people here, and Wolfie, pipe down.
Wolfie,
you hear him?
Yes.
He's like scratching onto the desk here. Hi, bud. I know. Hi, bud.
The door right now, but I don't want to get up, so she's gonna have to push through. Scarlett, my cat's trying to come in as well, but she's scratching on the door.
God, the beard
started. You will bring this.
He's got
up.
The beard too.
He does. He does have it.
He has the beard. It all falls in line. Yeah. So it's pretty.
Seeing him upsets me. I hate his face now. I can't stand him.
Did you hear his mom was like a scientist? Did you hear that?
Yeah.
His mom was some sort of scientist, and of course he wasn't raised this way. And I wonder what she thinks of him. We got to score an interview with Harrison Butker's mom,
because she reads to be like an absolute badass. So she's not just like a little scientist. She's like a very hugely successful. I don't remember what she is, but yeah. And I don't know if you watch that TikTok I sent you, but I'm making fun of him. But yeah, he was so obnoxious about it.
Yeah, I agree. It's like, this is something that I mention a lot with folks like this, is that these people, so they rightly so, a lot of times like liberals or progressives are accused of virtue signaling, where they're like, oh, look at me, I'm such a good person, I'm such a moral human being, look how much I care and all that. The right wing doesn't.
How much my wife loves her life doing this.
Well,
I know
so
you all go home and wish that you could be a wife. That's what his entire speech was, and I was like,
well, what I was getting with him is that he's not virtue signaling here. He's doing the opposite. He's vice signaling. Like, that's what he's doing. It's like, look how shitty I am. Like, I am such a horrible piece of shit. And I'm going to be here and smugly tell you that the women here, your lives won't start until you meet a man and have kids for him. Like, that's when your life starts. And I was like,
really,
that's literally what he said. It's like, yeah, people are not going to, maybe the people in the crowd will, but when the country hears it, they're not going to respond well to it. And he knows it. He's just beaming with pride that he gets to trigger the normal people out there. And I got two more. These clips are short with our boy Joel. Yeah, so this one's going to be about Christian nationalism. Again, let me see.
Going to behave as a Christian people. And what does that mean? It means we're going to ban pornography. It means we are going to ban no-fault divorce. It means we are going.
That's why I pause there. You want to ban pornography? Do you want dudes to vote for you or not, man? I gotta tell you, there's no quicker way. What? All right.
Banning things worked so well. The prohibition was great. Like, ban pornography. That's.
You know what? That's a good point about the prohibition thing. There's a clip where I'll talk about that a little bit too.
People. And what does that mean? It means we're going to ban pornography. It means we are going to ban no-fault divorce. It means we are going to utterly abolish abortion, including in vitro, including the hormonal birth control pill. Mm-hmm. Every single one of its forms, not just the Planned Parenthood clinic in Texas, but we're going to go down to the local CVS and we're going to start knocking those pills off the shelf. No more human sacrifice. So a civil magistrate can...
I hope that I catch him at a CVS knocking some fucking birth control down. Joel, catch me at CVS. How about that? Because, sir, I will take you and your dumbass fucking beard down so fast.
I do love these guys when they say stuff like this, because this is like one of the ways that fascism eats itself alive, because they have this thought process that, you know, women are bad, they're evil, they're destroying families, they're ruining our countries by voting. So we need to get rid of abortion because, you know, that's just women doing human sacrifices. Like, buddy, I got news for you. Men want abortion around too. I don't think I got to explain that, but I think it's pretty obvious.
What are all these cheating husbands in your congregation you do?
Exactly. And that goes to the birth control thing too. It's like you're gonna have a bunch of unhappy people if you start.
This is so it's so small-minded, and it's really just so ignorant about the uses of birth control too, because I don't know. I mean, I won't open the birth control.
So I know what you're I know what you're saying here, because like the immediate thought with abortion or with birth control is preventing pregnancy, but there's a lot of other reasons to use birth control too. They don't like that either. Like, they don't like that either. They always talk about how, you know, abortion, like you'll take like a ninth grade girl to the doctor, and the doctor will prescribe her abortion for XYZ, and it's not even for pregnancy, but it fucks up her hormones and it makes her really angry and it ruins her life. They hate that. Like, they hate this idea of medical intervention.
Something they're taking a small truth. I do want to just I want to add that. Yeah, they are taking the small truths and things that are coming out of, possibly coming out of like big pharma and other things that we won't touch right now. And it can be dangerous for young women, especially. I do want that in there. But yeah, they just take that little danger, or not little danger. They take any amount of danger or anything that they can latch on to, and then they build this entire belief system on that small.
And it's none of their fucking business. Like, it's not.
In that part. Well,
yeah.
We won't get into the part of how a corpse has more rights in this country than, women, but in some states, and that's terrible.
So I was talking to a friend of mine last week about this, And I was talking about how when I was 15 and I got my learner's permit, I had to sign the back of the permit, and there's 2 boxes there. And it says, do you want to donate your organs in the event of your death? Yes or no? And it's like, obviously, yes. And so I checked yes. And I was talking to either my parents or the people at the DMV, and I was like, oh, that's cool. You have like an organ donation thing there. And they're like, oh, yeah, do you want to donate your organs? I said, yeah. And it's okay. Well, if you don't check a box, they won't donate your organs. I said, what? I was like, you have to opt into this? And like, yeah. And I said, the first thing I said is like, okay, why isn't it opt out? It's very weird to me. Like that I can't give you a good reason that when you die, them organs are ours. I'm sorry, you don't need them anymore. Like they should be immediately taken away. And if you want to opt out, fine. But the fact that we need to sign up to do that blows my mind. And I would bring this up to people for like 25 years I've been talking about this. And I hear people say, well, no, I don't want it to be automatic because then the doctors might just let me die.
But it is weird that I don't know. I've never thought about it like this. I swear, TJ, you're actually rocking my brain.
I think about it all the time.
Well, because let me tell you where I stopped with organ donation. I did volunteer to be an organ donor, and then I found out that it includes your eyeballs, and that really freaked me out. And that was the furthest thought that I put into it. That terrified me, and I was like, yeah, I can't go out without my eyeballs. What? This is so serious. If anybody didn't know, like, make sure that you think about that before you opt into it. No, you don't need them, but you're right. I haven't thought about it like this, but when you were speaking and you were like, yeah, you have to opt into it, it should be something to opt out of. I was like, yeah. But then my stomach dropped. So I don't know. That is scary to think about though. But it's also surprising to me that we have to opt into it. So I don't know what I think should have happened. But
we'll talk about the eyeball thing later. I have questions.
Okay, I don't want to talk about the eyeball thing later.
But so it's just that you see these reports of people who are on like lists for kidneys and pancreas and livers and shit. And hearts and everything. Like, you won't die without eyeballs. So we can, but if you need a heart transplant, and it's like, oh, sorry, they didn't sign up for the program, I guess you're gonna die. It's like, no, people die every fucking day with perfectly good organs, and we just let them rot in the ground or burn in an incinerator. That's insanity. That is no. And anyway, the reason people would give me, like, people I talked to, is like, well, I don't want to sign up for that because if I was sick, the doctor made us let me die so they can take my organs. I've heard this from multiple people. Like it's like, all right, you're telling me that the doctors.
If everyone's organs got donated automatically and you had to opt out of it, we wouldn't have a shortage of organs.
That's true. That's a good point too. No, they were arguing for in the current system because some people hit no. Okay. They just say no, they don't want it. And I was like, okay, look, so you're thinking the doctors are going to let you die, cut you open, take out your organs, cut someone else open, put it in, so they might live? That's way more work it's like, that doesn't make any sense. But people just, I don't know. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. But I wanted to get this one more clip of Joel here. I guarantee this guy isn't donating his organs, by the way. I guarantee he's not. But let's see. All right. This is him. Let's see. What's this about? This is about. This is about. You were talking about you'd like to see him try to do something like this, like knock down the birth control and everything.
Yeah. I hope I run that down at CBS.
Well, he has a plan on how to accomplish this, because the problem that you face with these folks is like when they're like these legalized. It's like they want to codify that. Made me laugh. They want to codify misogyny. Is that they're pining for a world that cannot exist. Women are not going to. No, yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. That was my biggest takeaway as well. I'm glad that you brought it up because we were listening to the second clip earlier and I was like, dang, I forgot to say it during the first clip that like, this is so nonsensical just in general, too. And you kind of touched base on it during the second clip as well, but yes. Go on. Yeah.
It's a world that can't possibly exist. There's no chance in hell women are going. they're just gonna go back to the kitchen. Like it's not gonna happen. Like, we're just gonna.
He's probably just now finding things out. No, sir.
It's like, we're not gonna give up our bodily autonomy.
Yes, buddy. Okay.
We're not gonna give up our bodily autonomy. We're not gonna give up our careers. We're not gonna give up bank accounts and all these rights that we've worked for 100 years to get. So he does have a way around this to try to make sure this happens. So let's see what Joel's plan is.
The Constitution is not. It's not suited for governing degenerates. For governing degenerates, and I'm curious your thoughts on this, if you agree, disagree. But I think for our population that is degraded morally and culturally, as far religiously, as far as we have.
Who are we talking about?
You need.
Oh, so he's talking about.
He represents the degraded. Is it him and all the bearded men? I don't understand.
No, he's talking about the country. Like the United States is a nation. Yeah, it's a nation of degenerates, and the Constitution doesn't work anymore because it was crafted to govern a moral nation. You know, a nation that was enslaving millions of people.
For a nation of people of diversity of whatever religions they wanted. Wrong.
Well, but he's trying to say that the people in like the 1700s were moral and we are degenerate. But the people in the 1700s owned human beings as farm equipment. They weren't degenerates. Like they were good, moral, upstanding people. You know, women wear skirts that are a little too short. That's degenerate. You know, beating people within an inch of their lives and massacring any Native American family you could find. That's not degenerate. You know,
not brushing your teeth. I mean, the list goes on, Joel. Come on.
Yeah. So, all right, let's see what I was going to say here. Back it up a little bit.
But I think for our population that is degraded morally and culturally, as far and religiously, as far as we have, you need power. Men must be governed. you need a Caesar type. You know. Now, if you're asking me my preference, that would probably be my preference. Would be a constitutional republic. But I think the conditions for that is a moral people. So I think you can work towards that in the future. But I don't think constitutioning even harder is going to get us out of our current mess. I don't see us getting out of this apart from things getting worse and worse, and then eventually like a Caesar type rising through the ranks of populace, figure, and the people. The political will of the people, the people are desperate and they're like, yes, do it, so-and-so, and then so-and-so, Constitution be damned. Just
he wants to say Joel so bad. Yes, do it, Joel. Lead us, Joel. So he had to say so-and-so, but I left it.
Figure, and the people, the political will of the people, the people are desperate and they're like, yes, do it, so-and-so, and then so-and-so, Constitution be damned, just rules with an iron fist, and like a Cromwell type, and then you hopefully don't get his son. Maybe then you're able, and then you maybe it's just a one generation, one guy kind of thing, and then you have to move back to aristocracy or some other form. We're degenerate.
And then you just gotta fuck it. What did he just say? What?
I'm so glad you caught that at the end, because I was exactly what I was going for. So he says, so listen, the nation is
too, and then we're gonna call it. Then we're gonna call
it. He says, all right. So our nation is full of our nation is full of degenerates. It's too immoral to survive. So what we need to do is to get a Julius Caesar, Oliver Cromwell type person. He mentioned Caesar like 3 times, right? He mentioned Caesar like 3, and to take over. And he actually used the phrase "rule with an iron fist." Like he said the actual words, and then he
was doing this thing the whole time.
He was.
Like,
That's what I'm saying. Like he really wants. And then he says,
"Take a deep breath." You know, what are you doing?
Calm down, Joel. There's a reason his legs were crossed. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And so, then he says that, and then, this great leader will get us back in line. Now, hopefully, he doesn't pass on power to like his son or something, because that doesn't happen.
Like that. It's like,
yeah,
we're going to talk about the dangers of having a son.
Because powerful families are just known to give up that power, right? That always happens. But what I noticed at the very end there,
anybody,
right? Is he said, but then when it's over, maybe then we can revert back to an aristocracy. He didn't even say we're going back to like a democratic republic. No, we need to drop down from dictatorship to aristocracy. Like that's the best that he's hoping for here. And this is what I'm saying is that these people know that their will is not popular. They know that it's bigoted and that it's rejected by the population. Like, no, we should force it on them. Like, that's what it comes down to. Like, they want to force it on folks. And Joel is just a really obvious example of this. And it really bothers me that these folks are gaining prominence. But in a way, I'm kind of happy that it's right out there. People can't deny it anymore.
I think that you just said it a little bit better than what I was trying to say earlier in the episode, where I was referencing how I thought it was believable, or, the way he talks. Like, I can see getting on YouTube after, like a bad day and already maybe having some kind of similar theological foundation in my life and being pissed off and seeing something like that and being like, yeah, buddy, or what, if that's where, if you have, just if you're open to that, I guess, and that can be for a number of different reasons, I guess, but that's really what I meant too, and how, and it ties into the rest of your comment there. But